Hi guys, this is Mike from McProgramming.org. I'm going to talk about the switch statement today. This is a prettier way of writing out a bunch of if statements, especially if whatever you're looking for can fit in a particular category. And in this case, I guess, what would be a good example? I'm gonna put maybe like 4 test grades and get an average of the test grade, and then I'm gonna check with a switch statement what my grade for the year is. So let's do that. Let's say int test 1 equals, see, I got a 88. Let's say int test 2, I got a 100. I studied for that one. Int test 3, I got cocky, didn't study at all. I got a 45. And the last test, I always do good on my final test for the year. So say I got a good old 96. Alright, now I want to find the average of these. So let's say I'm going to say a double, and we're going to say test 1 plus test 2 plus, actually, we get an int total equals, we'll say test 1 plus test 2 plus test 3 plus test 4. In case y'all can't see, I'll make this I'll space this out so you can tell what I'm doing. This has nothing to do with the switch statement yet, so don't worry about it, but let's say double, and we're going to double average equals, and we're going to say total divided by 4, and we need to have this converted to a double because, let me suss out this average real quick. So even though I declared average as a double, I'm pretty sure 4 didn't evenly go into all these numbers. So it just rounded to 82, or it was 82 point something, and it truncated it but still gave us that 0.0. So we need to make this somehow a double. Cast it, and now hopefully, see, we got an 82.25 was our average test grade for the year. Alright, so remember that 82. So now the syntax for a switch statement, normally if you wanted to do an if statement, you could say if, average was greater than or equal to 90, sys out, you got an A. And then you can put a bunch of other if statements, but that's annoying and sloppy, so let's do this. Switch, capital, or lowercase s, sorry, and that's a reserve word, and in Eclipse you can tell all the reserve words are this maroonish color. So, and then we're going to put in average. We're going to put in the value that we're looking at. Okay. And now open and close that. Why is that giving me this? Oh, it's not going to take in a double. So we want to make this into an int. Let's say int new average equals average divided by 10. Okay. Let's see, we need to cast this to an int. And what this is going to do is it's going to take our 82.25 and it's going to divide it by 10. So it would be 8.225, and it cast it to an integer, so it's going to truncate the 2 and it's going to go and equal 8. and we'll put that in here as a switch statement as case 8, because it doesn't matter if it's an 81 or an 89, anything in the 80s is a B. So I'm going on the 10-point scale, by the way, so 90 to 100 is a A, 80 to 89 is a B, and so forth. So now let's say new average. Make sure you don't have new by itself, because if you do, that's a keyword in Java also for creating objects, and that will not work. So let's say new average. And inside of this switch statement, you want to start at the highest level. So we're going to say case 10, because 10 will be the highest number you can have. And you're going to want to have colon, and then underneath of that, if that's the case, let's say that I had 100% for the year. I'm going to say sysout. Wow, you got a 100%. And then down here, you have to say break, because it's going to run through, we're going to have a couple cases, and it's going to run through all these cases, and as soon as it finds the case that matches, it's going to run everything underneath of it. So it'll print this out, and then it'll go to case 9 and print that out. So a break statement will break you out of this loop, and it will get you out of the switch statement, and then you can continue your code. So now what we want to do is case 9, do copy, well, let's copy and paste this whole thing actually. I'm going to say, great job, you got A, because you're in the 90s. Let's just copy and paste a few of these. So that'll be 7. This will be 6. Okay, so that'll be 8 when you're in the 80s. This will be for when you're in the 70s. And this will be for when you're in the 60s. And this will say, let's just say good job. Good job, you got a B. Your average, you got it. Let's see. Barely passed. You got a D. And then you're going to always want to add a default case for when this value doesn't go and fall into any of these cases. So we can say default, and we're just going to say system.out.println you failed. Okay, so I should be indented. Maybe not. Okay, so this is pretty much the syntax for the switch statement is switch, and then you put in the value that you want to switch. You can put in chars, strings, or ints. As you saw earlier, you can't put in doubles or floats, I'm assuming. And what you do is you compare the value in there to find the case that it falls under, and then it will execute the code in that case, and you should have a break statement that will break you out of that code. Don't always need it. There's some cases where you don't need that break statement, but for the most part you do, and you should always have a default case in case this value does not get passed into these cases. And I don't think you need a break, because you should just fall straight out. So let's run this code, and as you remember, it was at 82.25, so we should fall, once you divide that by 10, we should be 82 or 8.2, and when you cast that to an int, it'll get rid of that 0.2 and say 8. So I should get this printed out. Good job, you got a B. And I did. And the reason I wanted to divide by 10 is because I didn't want to say case 99, case 98, and all that. I wanted to try to simplify it so I could get everything within the 90s range in here. So that was a little smart move of getting in there. And that's what a switch statement is it makes life a little bit easier not having to write out a million if statements. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe and keep watching these tutorials.